On this episode of Salt Lake Insider, the very first episode, we talk about Draper Lifestyle Magazine, we talk about Nitro Circus, and we talk about the Rally for Ruby Fun Run. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the very first episode of the Salt Lake Insider Show. My name is Dustin Brohm. I'm a real estate agent and an entrepreneur here in Salt Lake City, and this show is kind of an experiment. At least this episode's kind of an experiment. What I envision for this show is just to bring you the stories of local businesses and people here locally, like principals of local schools, and just tell the stories that you don't hear about in the newspaper, you don't see on the news, because there's so many amazing stories to be told, and I want them to be told here. We're going to call the show Salt Lake Insider. Maybe I'll even change it to Salt Lake Insider Show. I don't know. But it's the Salt Lake Insider Show. And this is episode number 1. And I'm super excited today for our very first guest. I have Mark Thackeray here. Mark and I actually went to high school together back in the day at Olympus High School. And I've known him, and it's crazy that now we're here talking about our respective businesses.
I know, isn't that wild?
But Mark's done all sorts of different entrepreneurial things in his life. He actually has done a lot of wedding photography. He did the photos for my wedding 3 years ago. I hope it was really 3 years ago.
I know, I'm like, what, really?
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
Yes. And, now he is running Draper Lifestyle Magazine, and for those of you that live in Draper, I'm sure you've seen the magazine come in the mail monthly, right?
Yep.
And super well done publication, but this is the man behind that publication, and we're going to talk to him about how he got started with it, what's going on behind the scenes, why Draper Lifestyle Magazine, and then we'll get into a little extra stuff about him and the other businesses he's doing. But Mark, tell me, apologize for the notes, but it's the first episode. So tell us all what Draper Lifestyle is all about.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. What a cool, I love the idea. I love the concept of the Salt Lake Insider Show, and I'm honored to be here.
You bet.
And it is fun to sit back and look at where we are now. It's changed.
Seriously.
It just seemed like yesterday we were talking about girls and high school petty things and stuff like that.
Right.
But now it's just different. But yeah, so good to be here. Draper Lifestyle is a community magazine first and foremost. It's all about the community. Our tagline is inspired by community, and what we do is we make connections. We make connections with our readers. It's like you said, it's a monthly publication that arrives in the mail every single month to the homeowners in Draper. But we also make connections with the businesses, and so we're trying to be that strategic partner that makes the connection from the readers to the businesses, and just to help the community overall. And that's one of the cool things about it. I'm sure we'll probably get into that later, but it's just that you can facilitate those conversations.
Right.
Like you said, everyone has a story, and it's so neat to be able to dig in and actually uncover that story and then share it with other people.
Right.
That's where the power is. And that's a lot of our readers have taken ownership to the magazine. It's their magazine essentially now.
Yes. Very cool. Very cool. So, got the notes here. So you didn't start Draper Lifestyle, but tell me how did Draper Lifestyle come to be? How did you become a part of it? And why did you become a part of it? Just kind of give us some background on how all that happened, because you do have some other business ventures going on, and I think you and I were at Starbucks one time, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm running Draper Lifestyle Magazine." So just let us know how that came to be.
Yeah, it's funny, you call it what you want, but fate works in interesting ways. So Draper Lifestyle came about a very in an unusual way. So I've been doing, like you mentioned, I had my own photography business for several years, and that's been great. I've loved doing that, did a lot of work, weddings mostly, some commercial events. I've flown across the country for tons of events, and I loved it, you know. Things have changed, priorities change over time. As we had kids, more and more kids, somehow we just have kids. That's what we do.
It's Utah. That's what we do.
And we're good at making girls. We have three for three. But as we added to our family, the stress of travel and just how taxing it is. So there was periods where I'd be gone every single weekend, months and months in a row. And so it was. Now that the kids are getting older, they're involved in extracurricular activities. They're playing soccer, they're swimming, and all that stuff. Things that you want to be a part of as a dad. And two, my wife was getting a little tired of me not being there on the weekends, and so it's funny because it all came together really well in at the right time, I guess you could say. So I'd done some work for Draper Lifestyle. I know the editor. She's a good friend of mine, and so their first issue took a bunch of photography, did the cover shots, mountain biking. The mountain biking's big down there, and a lot of great riders, and it was really fun. Yeah, so that was a fun shoot. But then, a couple of months later, I got a call from the publisher who started it,
right?
Alan, and he, he knew I was big into marketing. As an entrepreneur, you're always focused on marketing. You're always focused on what gets the phone to ring and all that stuff, and so. He took me out to lunch a couple of times, and we just brainstormed a few things on what he was trying to do. And then a couple of months later, just so happened that he called me up, and there was an opportunity there to move in, to become a partner with him, or to actually take over the magazine entirely. And so I called my brother. We've been working together on and off for several years. We've always wanted to find something that we really wanted to do together. We hadn't found that quite yet, and so this came at the right time. We looked into it, we did our due diligence, I guess you could say, and pulled the trigger about 6 months ago. Nice. So it's kind of a roundabout way,
serendipitous.
Yeah, very much so. But we had been, I wouldn't say we were specifically looking to purchase a publication or acquire a publication, but we had voiced at one point, we'd talked about, wouldn't it be amazing to have your own basically media outlet that you could then promote and get other people involved in, and that was articulated at one point, I remember very clearly, and so when this came up, I got pretty excited to present it to my brother Bill, and then after talking with him, after talking with Alan, and then there's similar publications across the nation. We talked to a few other publishers, and we jumped right in. Yeah, pulled the trigger.
Nice. So, what's been your favorite story that you guys have run so far?
There's been so many cool ones. We have a couple of local authors, the Snowmen at Night series that we did a feature on, and it's just really cool people. And their story is unique because it's a husband and wife team that just got together and put together this series that is a bestseller. I mean, kids love it. Just a really creative concept. So that was a neat one. I'd say one of my favorite ones though is just because I resonate really well with this. Their background was a story we did with the Godfreys. They ended up purchasing the old Park School, or Draper Junior High, that sat vacant for years and years on Fort Street and Pioneer. And it's an old building. It's really cool, but it's dilapidated. It's been unused and just blocked off for ages. And so these guys, the Godfreys, came in, and the Godfreys have a cool background anyway. They're the ones who started Nitro Circus. Oh, yeah. So just nice. Really, I mean, we kind of come from that background. We understand what that is, and just how neat that is to see someone locally take their concept, take their idea, their dream, and make it into something with such international appeal now. Yeah. And so they ended up selling that, but they purchased the school with the intent of making that into their production studio, and then finishing off some of the other rooms and the other hallways into office space and studio space for artists and things of that nature. So that was really cool. I wanted to work with those guys, and then two, to see that they're doing something within the community that people are really excited about, because I can't tell you how many people that we've talked to as we're going around the community that really resonate with that story because they have parents that went to that school or they pass by it on a daily basis, always wondering what's going on there. And so, I mean, there's all these connections that you don't see on the surface, but when it comes out, people are, you see how connected we all are. And so that one, I'd say that one was a really cool one. We did a great piece on the aquarium, the veterinarians for the aquarium, Dr. Martin Orr. And that was fun because they got to go behind the scenes and see all the animals. And, like when the circus comes into town, he's the vet for all the crazy animals. Nice. And so, yeah, he's telling some really fun stories that way. So, yeah, those are a few of my favorites. It's hard to pick one.
Right. So, and we'll link up to those articles that he's mentioning. I know they're on draperlifestyle.com is the website. So you can look up past articles from previous issues and everything. But we'll link them up in the YouTube description. What's next? Not just for Draper Lifestyle, but for you and your other business ventures. I want some inside information here. So what's next? What are you working on right now that the public doesn't see? What are you building?
That's a great question. And what's and this just as well as I do. I mean, we're two peas in a pod when it comes to this. It's just there's so many when you start looking for opportunities, and you make that switch in your mindset that you are going to seek out opportunities, or you're open-minded to things that come along. The floodgates are open, I mean, everything starts knocking on your door, and it's not that you're always asking for it, but it's just that you see things differently.
Yes.
And that's what entrepreneurs do is that it's a paradigm shift. They don't, they're not stuck looking at things one way, but it really does open your whole vision to see, oh, I could do this, or you could change this process or apply this in a different way. And so it's hard to really say what in terms of what's going on in the future. I know that, we're really focused on what we have with Draper Lifestyle and some cool things that we're doing. These are, we haven't really unveiled these, but it's more on the event side of things where so we're connecting with them via print, we connect with them online, but now to get them again in person, and further that relationship and further strengthen that relationship. And so we're going to host some events, probably do a couple later on in the summer and in the fall, and then next year do quite a few where we'll do at least once a quarter, if not more. And so they'll be both public and private. And yeah, they're going to be, all I can say is they'll be a lot of fun. They're going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. That's cool. And what you were saying, how, you get started and then all of a sudden all these opportunities show up. And that's why I'm doing this first episode of the show is, I just wanted to start telling some stories and see what happens. I know this isn't going to be the most professional interview you've ever seen, but I'm not the most professional guy you've ever seen either. But I'm just excited to see what happens with this show, and we'll be keeping an eye on Draper Lifestyle, but just one day at a time, trying to build something big every day.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the fun about it. I mean, you realize that certain things take time, and that's okay, It's not an overnight sensation, but it's when you're trying to build something truly great, you realize that it takes a lot of time to build that foundation and then work your way upward.
Right. So I want to switch gears here and take an opportunity. You're involved with a charity and a cause right now that I'll let you go into the details of that, but it really speaks to me and it's really resonated with me. I'm a parent. Jordan and I have a 2-year-old boy. And so,
birthday coming up too.
Yeah, that's right. Birthday coming up, turning 2.
I know.
This Minion party.
I know. I love that picture.
I love the Minions.
I know.
But take a minute and just kind of tell us about the Rally for Ruby, what that's all about, who is Ruby, what's going on there. I'm not even going to try to. I want to hear it from you, and I think everyone wants to hear from you, what's going on and what's going on June 11th and how we can get involved and help.
Okay. Well, thank you. So who is Ruby? So the event is Rally for Ruby, Ruby is our youngest daughter. She is 3 years old, and when Allie was pregnant with her at 20 weeks along, we found out that she had a soft tissue mass growing at the base of her neck. Didn't really know, what it was or any more than that because they just couldn't really tell, from the scans or anything like that when she was in the womb. And so we had to wait, and there was, of course, a lot of speculation as to what it could be. And naturally, as a parent, as you guys know, you gravitate towards the worst case scenario all the time. And so, there was a lot of trepidation, a lot of fear of what it might be, what it might cause if she'd even survive. And so we ended up going. She was delivered. I'll make this short. It's kind of a long story, but she was delivered up at the University Hospital. Allie had a pretty severe C-section because the mass had grown so large. It was about 2/3 the size of her head when she was born. And so it's a big, huge vascular soft tissue mass. And so there's tons of blood vessels in there. And one of the worries or one of the concerns was that it was like having an extra organ in your body. And so they were worried that it would cause heart failure because overworking the heart. But she delivered fine. She came out. It was miraculous, really. Came out just fine. They tried to do a biopsy. They did a biopsy, a day or two after she was born. It took, half a thumbnail off, and she bled like crazy because of all the blood vessels there, and lost about 20% of her blood. And so they said, well, we can't do anything right now. It's too risky. So the thought was, okay, let's wait a few years, see how she develops, and then when she's bigger and has more blood in her system to sustain an operation, then we can look into removing it entirely. Fast forward about a year and a half later, she was doing great. We treated her mass, and it was big and bulky and cumbersome and hard to deal with at first, but you get kind of used to it, and unsightly too, I should say that. It was kind of gnarly looking.
And it was right back here?
Yeah, right back here at the base of her neck. And so she didn't have full mobility, but again, she didn't really know. She was, 18 months. Right. So, but she was getting so much bigger, and the mass started to actually contract a little bit based on the measurements and the scans that we took. And so we were very hopeful. And then when she was probably about 20 months along, or 20 months old, 21 months old, my wife noticed that it looked like it was getting bigger. And, as a parent, when you're with them all the time, you don't see the change. It's so gradual that you don't think about it. Her hair was growing over it, and so it wasn't fully exposed all the time.
Right.
But we decided to go back through all the photos, family photos, and of which we have quite a few. And sure enough, you could tell that it just started to mushroom. It just really accelerated its growth. And so kind of alarming. And so we went to our ENT up at Primaries, and he said, let's do something. We got to do something now. And so they're still worried about all the blood vessels in there, and they couldn't perform the operation without trying to prevent that loss of blood, severe loss of blood. And so what they did is they went in and embolized the arteries that fit the feeder arteries basically to the mass, and so basically glued those shut, and it went really well, really, really well. And then about a week and a half later, she went in for the operation, and we were anticipating about 6 to 8 hours of surgery, and she was out in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it was just, by all accounts, a miraculous event. They got in there, it came off very clean, and then they kind of stitched her back up, and then we had a checkup after that. We did genetic testing on the mass to determine if it was malignant or anything like that. We didn't see anything. 6 months we had another regular checkup, scan, and she was clean, no signs. And then at her 12th month, or what would have been her 12th month, it got delayed a little bit, she had a CT, and she had a PET scan, and part of it showed a little dot like on the scan, or maybe it was just a CT, but just a small white dot on her lung, like at the very bottom of the scan. Like it wasn't nothing else anywhere else, but just enough to kind of raise the red flag. And so they did a CT scan of her lungs, and she's just got all these lesions in her lungs. And so they after looking at it and evaluating, they diagnosed it as stage 4 melanoma. And so there's not a whole lot of options at that point. We've again through this whole story has been pretty miraculous, but this is another thing that's just been so wonderful, is that she was able to get be treated via this new method called immunotherapy. It's drastically different than chemo or radiation because it doesn't kill off your immune system. It's not nearly as toxic, and it actually works in tandem with your immune system. And so kind of the idea is to rev it up so it works more effectively, and so it allows your body to naturally take care of those cancer cells like it would, like it should. And so we're just in the stage of that. We thought we were going to have to go out of state and live kind of the back and forth life while she was getting treatment. But again, through some crazy events, we managed to get it approved up at primaries, and she's being treated up there, and she's been doing great. We'll find out how she's responding next week. And so it's been a couple months on treatment, and we're all just kind of waiting to see. There's not too much stuff that we can do after this if she's not responding, but she's full of energy, so we're very hopeful. And then the event was actually put on by some friends, a lot of friends that we knew from high school, Cynthia Stringham
right
now, and just the Millie's Princess Foundation, Brady and Amanda Flam, good friends with them. They had a daughter who passed away of leukemia a few years ago, Millie, and they started a foundation. So we teamed up with them to put on this fundraiser. It's a race, it's a fun run. And bike parade, because that's what Ruby loves, to get on her Strider bike and just wheel around, and so we thought we'd get a bunch of people together, and what's really cool about this was all actually these friends. This is what they wanted to do. They wanted to do something, they didn't know what, and so they're really good at putting on events, and this is how they've shown their support, and it's been amazing to see everyone come together and how it's evolved from just this small idea to it's all intricate and all these details, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's June 11th, Saturday morning at Butler Middle, just in Cottonwood Heights. The soccer field it's not even, the fun run is about a mile or so very short run. We're going to have lots of different hair braiding, we'll have face painting, a lot of fun activities. We're going to have
nice.
Silent auction and different prizes and stuff. So it's just going to be, we want it to be a celebration. People come dressed up, and it's just to celebrate what we've already been given with Ruby, and just we're excited for whatever comes in the future.
So honestly, I knew, because you and I, we talk every now and then, and I knew Ruby had some health issues ever since she was born, but honestly, it wasn't until I saw the KSL news piece that they did 2 weeks ago on Ruby that I really realized the full extent of the battle she's fighting. It's just it's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around. And so she's obviously such a fighter. She's so strong. Yeah. And so I'm excited for June 11th. For anyone who wants to come to the and it's called the Rally for Ruby, right?
Yes, Rally for Ruby.
So anyone who wants to come to the Rally for Ruby, just get on Facebook and search Rally for Ruby, and there's a Facebook event set up, and you can get all the details, the address, and you can buy your tickets and everything right there. I don't know what else to say to that other than, if you guys can make it Saturday, show your support for Mark and his family, and for his daughter, and for the other organizations that are involved, and just support them, because it seems like childhood cancer is just getting out of control.
Yeah, and that's something that's really opened my eyes. Is you don't. So unfortunately, it takes an event like this, an occurrence like this in your personal life, to realize that this happens so often. We know so many people that have gone through something like this, or currently dealing with something like this.
Right.
And I'm ashamed to admit that I have a lot of friends that have been through this, and I haven't been as supportive, or aware, or and so, but I've just been so amazed at how much, again, it comes back to connections, how connected we all are as a society, as a neighborhood, as friends and families. It's just been truly overwhelming to see the support, and that just, it keeps us going every day, you know, and that's why we're so excited about this. Is it's, you know, we want this to be an event where we can do this for other people too in the future, you know, and just pass that legacy on that we've been given by so many people. And it's, you know, it's one of those things that I think will help us all to remember what we do have every single day.
Seriously. We take so much for granted.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So to wrap this up, for anyone who wants to connect with you, to learn more about Draper Lifestyle Magazine, and or help out, donate to, support the Rally for Ruby, how can they do that? How can they find you?
Good question. So for Rally for Ruby, I'd go to Facebook, facebook.com/Rally Ruby, and that will take you to our page. You can get in touch there. There's contact information there. If you want to just participate, or if you want to sign up, we'd love to see you there. Or if you want to become more involved with, you know, donating items, auction items, or volunteer, you can contact any number of our staff listed on there. And then if you're draperlifestyle.com is a good way to get started there. You can call me on my cell if you want, 801-633-1853.
You have a pager? Can they page you too? I'll make sure to link up all these links in the description of the video and on Facebook and everything. But man, it was good to get kind of the behind the scenes story of what's going on. And, you know, I commend you and Allie for, you know, helping Ruby fight such a unimaginable battle that seems like way too many kids and families these days are fighting. So from the outside looking in, you know, it's definitely, you guys are definitely inspirational to a lot of people.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. This is the first ever episode, the pilot episode, the show about nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
The pilot episode of Salt Lake Insider, or the Salt Lake Insider Show. Maybe both.
To be determined.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. Have a good one.